I declare the meeting open. Welcome everybody. Just a reminder that the meeting is being recorded. We'll open the meeting with a karakia. Please stand. Kia tōna manaakitanga Aunty Meo Nauru. Kia runga ki tēnā I tēnā o tātou. Kia mahia te hua mā kihikihi. Kia toi tukupu, toi te aroha, toi te araha, toi te reo Māori. Kia tuturu, kia whakamoa, kia tēnā, tīna, hui tārangia. Thank you. Before we start, I'd just like to have a moment's silence and acknowledge Adrian Staples, who worked tirelessly for our local communities and also our region for a number of years. And we acknowledge that she's left a huge void in regional and local government sectors for Wairarapa, but more importantly for her family, friends and colleagues who loved and miss her. So if we could just have a minute to think about Adrian, those she's left behind. Thank you, everyone. We'll now move on to conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest for this agenda? Councillor Lennox?
There may be a perceived conflict of interest in regards, apologies, and there may be a perceived conflict of interest in regards to myself being employed by a transit group, Masterton, and being a board member of Tukuana when it comes to the DW discussions, just disclosing that.
Okay, noted. We have one apology today, which is iwi rep Robin Patangaroa. I'll move that his apology be accepted. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Bowyer. All those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. There is no public forum today and there are no late items on the agenda. So we'll move to page 6, 5.1, which are minutes for confirmation. As a reminder, there's no discussion. It's just whether they're true and accurate. So I'm happy to move that the minutes are true and accurate. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Holmes. All those in favour?
Aye.
Councillor Goodwin.
Just on page 18, the Queen Street street fees, I do think the minutes could include the discussion about the cost for ratepayers of the 550,000. There has been some confusion in the community about that, and whilst the motion was carried, a member did say, "Oh, this will add, 1% or more to rates," and Officer Jack did correct him and say that it'll be around 0.1%. And I think that difference, that dialogue about the difference of spending reserves as opposed to rates
Borrowing.
I think that discussion did happen, and I think it needs to be in there because it is complicated, and it's not 550,000 in the normal sense as some people perceive it to be.
Okay, so we'll go back to the recording and we'll amend the minutes.
Thank you.
We still approve them?
You can still approve.
Yeah, we'll approve them on that basis. Are you happy with that, councillor? All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? The minutes carried. Thank you. Then we move to page 34.5.2, which is the minutes for confirmation of the meeting. That they're true and correct. I'm happy to move that. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Bowyer. Any queries or discussion? No? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. Now we move to page 49, 6.1, hearings committee meeting. Excuse me. You'll see the recommendation before you.
I'll move that.
Thank you, Councillor Bowyer. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Holmes. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? The motion is carried. Thank you. Moving on to page 50, 6.2, Finance Risk and Assurance Committee meeting. This is to confirm the minutes from that meeting. I wasn't present for that, so can I have a mover, please?
Let's go back to the page.
Page 50. Councillor Lennox, moved by Councillor Lennox. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Nelson. I'll put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. All those in favour? Against? What?
Discussion.
Any discussion? Carried. Thank you. Now, for decision, we move to page 63, 7.1, the submission to NZTA regarding the Wairarapa speed limit. I'll ask for Matt to present the report, and Tyler. Thank you. Over to you, Matt.
Yes, so the purpose of this report is to present a submission to council on Waka Kotahi's proposed speed limit changes for the Wairarapa. So you may be aware that they're consulting on 3 speed limit changes for state highways in the Wairarapa. There is a proposal to drop the speed limit upon the entry to Featherston from the southern end as you come off the Dumataka Hill from 70 to 50. There's a proposal to drop the speed limit up as you enter Martinborough from the Featherston direction from around where the Palliser Estate, Salador is, right up to Princess Street, extend that 50k zone basically further out of Martinborough. And relevant to this submission is the proposal to reduce the speed limit at the northern end of Masterton, where it currently transitions to 100 just past 4th Street, to drop that to 80 and going up past Hensel's, sort of past where the new growth has happened at the moment. So this submission is supportive of the proposal to drop the speed limit. What we suggest in this submission is actually they could go a step further and drop the speed limit to 70 k's. Reasons for that are, one, reducing the speed further will improve safety. We know there's development going on up there and we know there is more to come. And the other reason as well is that when you enter Masterton from the southern end, Wainawa Bridge drops from 100 to 70 to 50. So to create consistency for people when they are entering and leaving Masterton, it would make sense to make the same step change from 50 to 70 to 100 as they exit. So the submission essentially says, yes, we support the reductions in the speed limit, but for the north of Masterton, we would recommend that actually 70 is considered.
Thank you, Matt. I've got a question. Do they ever reduce from 100 straight to 50, or is there always a progressive reduction?
I could answer that. So yeah, across the country, there are some transitions from 100 to 50, really depends on the road environment and the spacing of driveways and other frangible in respect to if vehicles hit particular objects on the side of the road, how likely they are to crumple under the force of the impact. So in that respect, they would have assessed that part of the highway and come to the conclusion that in terms of the road environment, that 80 be an appropriate transition speed through to 50, but 70 is also a very appropriate transition speed through that part of Northern.
So my follow-up question to that is, could we change the 80k to 50k, or would that not be possible?
It's probably in discussion with the Transport Agency safety engineers around what they consider to be an appropriate transition speed environment, and whether or not they would conform through to be able to transition from 100 to 50 based on the environment that they've been assessing. They've got a lot of experience in terms of the transition speeds and a lot of data and research. So it'll be in consultation with them. It's certainly something we could ask them to consider if they think it's appropriate.
Because I'll follow that up in discussion time. Any other questions?
Discussion.
No questions of the report first? There are none. Okay, the recommendations are before you. Approves the submission and authorises the Mayor and Chief Executive to approve any consequential changes. Sorry, took a while to get out. But we'll move into discussion. Councillor Holmes.
I had a call from a residents association from Canterbury Oaks, and they've done a ring around and they would like to see it reduced at least 60, if not 50. That was coming from people who live in that area. And I can back that up too by the fact that when you leave Te Aorere going over the bridge, it is 50. So that would be justified to do it the other way as well. I'd like to think that we reduce it to 50.
I'll follow up on that discussion
Yep.
too. I've also had conversations with Cashmere Oaks residents, and it's easy to explain it. As you come out towards Hansell's, there's a 50 zone, but then a lot of people turn left into Cashmere Oaks, and then people are trying to come out of Cashmere Oaks, and the person who's going north to turn left, the cars behind them overtake.
Yep.
And they're overtaking on a double yellow line because they can see the 100k zone and they speed up. So it's very difficult then for the person coming out of Cashmere Oaks to see that there's an oncoming car, and it's also quite dangerous. And my other concern is that with the Somerset Retirement Village going into Cashmere Oaks, there's going to be approximately another 500 residents in there, and they'll be elderly, of course. And that's not to mention additional staffing and healthcare workers. So I personally feel that the move from 100 to 80, the speed limit is still too high. I'd like to recommend that it's consistent and stay at 50 until it goes past Cashmere Oaks entrance and Avita Retirement Village. Hence why I asked the question of you, Tyler. So that's my take on it, that, you know, it's an elderly retirement area. We're putting people at risk if the speed limit is too high, and I believe that it should be reduced even further. That's Councillor Lennox.
Can I just ask a quick, sorry. Can I just ask a question? Because I'm actually personally not too sure where the Somerset village is going to go.
In Cashmere Oaks, so they drive into
Don't-
Cashmere Oaks and it's round the back.
It's not another addition out onto the state.
No, it's the same entranceway and
Thank
exit.
you. That's what I need to know. Cheers.
Councillor Bowyer?
First of all, great report, excellent stuff. Now, this is something that has been ongoing for well over a decade, looking to get that speed reduced north of town. Totally agree that it should be less than 80 kilometres an hour. 70 is currently where NZTA see it sitting because of the lack of residential infrastructure from that entrance further north. Okay. Now, if there were footpaths built and those kinds of things, there would be some desire by NZTA. Okay. But I think we need to take this win. This has taken well over a decade to get to this stage. I know organisations throughout town, such as the Automobile Association, have been campaigning on this for decades almost. So this is a good step. However, I do also acknowledge the fact that it could be less. And the best example of it is what's happening in Martinborough as well. There's been a campaign that the Martinborough one should be extended and finally extended. So yeah, we've just got to keep going.
Yeah. Can I just remind everyone too, this is a submission. We're not making a final decision today. We're making a recommendation that we think is most appropriate for our community, which will then be, you know, discussed and evaluated, etc. So any further discussion on this? Because is there general agreement from around the table that 80k is not low enough as a reduction?
Yep.
So should we put the different speed limits in a hat, pull one out? So we need to land on this. My recommendation would be 50k, because NZTA will come back on our submission and say doable, not doable, whether they can, whether they won't. Is that correct, Tyler?
They will. They will also sort of rely on the evidence of their own experts. So what we need to do as part of the submission is to also articulate the local conditions and local users. And if we know that there's going to be growth in an elderly population that requires more of a reaction time when they're entering and exiting from that intersection, then we should articulate that to them as well, to say, you know, that it's acceptable to also look at a transition to 50, depending on the development pattern and
Yeah.
growth. So it could be a staged progression as well.
Yeah. So I would like to pose 50k. Do I have any support for that? Councillor Holmes?
Yep, I support that.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Is there anyone against that? No? So we'll make that change. And then I'll just move that council approves the submission with that amendment and authorises the mayor and chief executive to approve any changes as they may arise. Is everyone happy with that? Okay, I'll move that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Are we clear on what the amendment is?
To 50k.
So we'll need to change the wording.
Yes.
Submission.
Yes.
You're happy with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Who seconded? Councillor Bowyer?
No, I did.
Sorry, Councillor Holmes. All those.
Sorry, that's not to just change that number, right? They're also going to have to put in the rationale for allowing it.
Correct.
Yeah.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we move to page 70, 7.2, which is submission on the sale and supply of alcohol, and I welcome Karen.
Thank you. I will just introduce the report and then we have Terry available to answer any detailed questions that you may have on the bill's proposal. So there is a bill in the House that proposes to amend certain aspects, or quite a few aspects, of the sale and supply of alcohol legislation. The government's aim there is to improve alcohol regulation and remove barriers to economic growth. We consider, so officers have considered all of the proposals. As a policy position, we support measures for improving efficiency and practicality, and the economic aspects, of course, are important for our local economy too. However, officers do not support measures that are inconsistent with the aim of the Act, the principle being to minimise harm from alcohol, and to provide a local voice and community input, and that's generally through our local alcohol policy, which, as you know, we went through the process of amending that policy, and that was consulted on. And officers consider that some of the measures, some of the proposals do not support that, and therefore normalise behaviour around drinking alcohol in particular places that we do not consider as appropriate. Yeah, happy to take any questions on further.
And I also welcome Terry to the table. Hi, Terry. Do we have any questions of Karen or Terry? Wareka.
Kia ora. Just a question in regards to the way that papers are structured. Sorry, that's you, Karen. What is the purpose of the area of the title implications for Māori?
So we need to consider if there are any particular implications over and above implications for other members of the community. In this particular case, not all Māori suffer from alcohol-related problems. Not all alcohol-related problems are in the Māori community. We do know, however, that the Māori community are disproportionately represented in the statistics around alcohol harm. And so we have a particular responsibility there to take measures that we know have to work on our treaty principles and our treaty implementation of those principles. And we can do that through supporting measures that particularly improve outcomes and health comes for Māori in our community, as it would for the broader community in minimising alcohol harm. But we know because of that overrepresentation, there's a particular requirement for us to protect our community to the extent we can.
Follow-up question. So do you believe that the inclusion of this information and the implications for Māori does that? Protects our partnership for Te Tiriti o Waitangi and, our responsiveness to Māori?
The point of including it in the report is to make the councillors aware, so that when they're making decisions, when you're making decisions, that you have that knowledge in your head around why it might be particularly important to make a submission around the way that we are making the submission. So it's an information exercise. There is always a fine balance, of course. We've had this discussion before in the implications of saying, and what I started the conversation with. It's not about demonising particular areas of the community or suggesting that there are particular problems, but the facts are there that Māori are overrepresented, so we must do as much as we can. And this is how we will give expression to that.
Are there any other questions of the report?
Yeah.
Marangi?
Just hei whapiri atu ki Waireka. I hear what you're saying. My question is why, alcohol harm is a community issue, and you've got a perfectly good place in the strategic policy legislative implications heading to put in there, this is a community harm thing, and in the implications to Māori, and it's particularly because Māori are disproportionately affected by it.
Yep.
Why wasn't it worded in that way?
I apologise, that was the intent, and we can do better next.
Any other questions? Okay, well, the recommendation in the officer's report is that we note the sale and supply of alcohol amendment bill is before the Just Select Committee for consideration. We note the submissions on the bill close Thursday, 14th May, and we agree to make submission to the committee on the bill on behalf of the MDC. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Bowyer and a seconder, Councillor Lennox. We'll move to discussion. Councillor Bowyer.
Thank you, Liz. As a member of the DLC committee, I think this is a real well-considered and well-thought-out reply to the submission. And I just want to acknowledge the work that's gone on behind that. I thought it was well thought out. And thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Collins.
Kia ora. Yes, I agree, Mr. Councillor Bowyer, that it is a good submission. I would just like to suggest that in the future, when we're looking at implications for Māori, that potentially we're highlighting opportunities for Māori to participate, because I think that's the whole idea of raising it. Is there an opportunity for Māori to be aware of something that they can contribute to? And I think in highlighting the adverse effects and impacts on Māori as a people, it's not doing that. So just a little bit of feedback in regards to that.
Thank you. Maharangi.
Kia ora. On page 79, in the second to last paragraph, there's a spelling mistake. It says drive, thought, though be able, all as one word.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
My job.
So if it's a submission, it's got to be spelt properly too.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. Put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Motion is carried. Now we move on to page 82, 7.3, which is the Wairarapa Emergency Management Capability Strategy. And I'll invite Simon to the table and Tyler. Over to you, Simon.
Kia ora, thank you. Kia ora koutou. Just to formalise a document that we passed through the Finance Audit and Risk Committee back in February to this group. We are now asking for the Wairarapa Emergency Management Capability Strategy to now be accepted, received by this council, noting that the South Wairarapa and Carterton districts have through their councils and allow us to adopt the Wairarapa Emergency Management Capability Strategy 25 to 30. I'll take it that everything else had been read, but I am.
Do we have any questions? Councillor Nelson.
Thank you. Just in regards to location of the VU, is that, I didn't see that in the report. Is that something that should be in the report? Or does South Wairarapa and Carterton and us, do we all have our own place depending on the level or the location of them?
So the Emergency Operations Centre has been agreed by the three councils. At the moment, it is this location here and will soon move once the operations have been completed. If Masterton is unavailable, we can use other premises across the region. They're just not ideally set up for Emergency Operations Centre, but we can use a premise in Carterton and we can use a premise in Featherston.
And I couldn't see reference to operational costs in the report, so how will that be addressed?
So at this stage, the costs for the training and the other work is as part of the current budgets that are set within council. Councils release staff to attend a training session. The training sessions are run by Remo. There is no direct cost to council.
But I mean, when an incident happens, in terms of addressing that operational costs in that regard.
At the moment, there is a cost associated with every response, and that is divided based on population across the 3 councils, and that's current response budget. I can't specify what that's going to be because we may have no responses through a 3-year term, or we may have, as we have, 3 responses in the past 3 months, which have incurred some cost, but it is not what I would call significant in terms of wider council spend.
We do, though, have the ability to claim some funds back through NEMA, situations that might be more disruptive.
There are some funds that I can claim back from NEMA, particularly costs, and we identify those with NEMA, and so we do recover it on behalf. And that in relation to food, particularly in the food drops that occurred in February, we can claim a lot of that back, plus the helicopter. They gave special agreement to do that.
So just going forward, we can assume that all councils will be shared costs anyway. It won't be disproportionately, I was going to say Lakeview, Masterton, that address the cost.
Masterton isn't picking up full costs for the EOC route. It is shared, at the moment it's shared on a population basis.
Thank you.
Just to elaborate on that, there's also probably a much longer term cost saving in terms of having a rail train staff and transitioning between levels from a level 2 base through to level managed, in which to be able to manage the response more effectively and efficiently.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Goodwin?
Just on that, so I just had a feeling that the cost would be a third. Well, but and
So we pay Wellington Regional Council set fee on a yearly basis for the operation of Remo. For Emergency Operations Centre, that is a cost that's attributed to the 3 councils, and it's based on population and census. The third that you're probably thinking of is the cost of the Emergency Management Office, of which I am a part of, and a 0.2 resource.
Any further questions? Thank you for your report, Simon and Tyler. The recommendation is that the council receives the report, notes that South Wairarapa and Carterton District Councils have adopted the strategy at their respective ordinary council meetings. And third point is adopts the Wairarapa Emergency Management Capability Strategy 2025 to 2030. Do I have a motion? Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Holmes. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Thank you. The motion is carried.
Got it.
Thank you. We move to page 112, which is 7.4, Destination Wairarapa Memorandum of Understanding Extension. And I'll invite Matt, our Economic Development Lead, to the table to present the report. Thank you, Matt.
Good morning, all. So this report is seeking an extension of the Destination Wairarapa MOU that expires on the 30th September through till the end of June 2027. As councillors are likely aware, we are currently entering discussions on what economic development should look like in the Wairarapa moving forward. So we have had initial conversations with the various agencies involved. And so by extending the Destination Wairarapa MOU, we're looking to ensure a continuity of service in the destination management and promotion areas while those discussions take place, and also as Destination Wairarapa a key player in those discussions to make sure they are able to take place in those discussions, to ensure we have their input. Destination Wairarapa have already been involved in those discussions to date, and we have met with the chair of Destination Wairarapa. They've provided a huge amount of input so far to help us shape the brief. So we'll be involved in the next steps. So we're looking to extend the MOU. There are questions around the funding levels that I think are for a discussion for elected members. So the proposal's table as it is.
Thank you. And just a question to clarify, one of the other reasons for the extension is so that it ties in with our long-term plan, correct?
Yes, so just because of the way the MOU has been historically, it's always sat outside the long-term plan process, which hasn't been ideal for any of the parties involved. So also extending it this period to potentially reset for another 3 years as part of the LTP will also be useful in terms of all organisations for budget planning, etc. moving forward.
And I think it's important to mention that in principle, South Wairarapa and Carterton support the extension.
Yes.
Because it's an agreement, between the three councils. Do we have any questions of Matt at this stage? Councillor Lennox?
I don't have a question at this stage, but I've got.
Councillor Nelson?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. Personally, I don't support any funding at this point onwards, but if it does go ahead, I'd like to talk about the KPIs. So if we're having these, if this is being extended, that will obviously give us scope to change the KPIs, because I feel like the only KPI that's measurable is the first one, and the rest are just actions that would support, help deliver that KPI. Is that something we're able to do? It's going beyond the actual agreement.
That would be an amendment to the MOU, not an extension. So that would be a different conversation.
So can we do that, or can we do that?
Can we have that conversation following the decision today?
Not following the decision. Okay.
Now,
Because as Matt said, this is an extension on the same terms. So if you don't support an extension on the same terms because you'd like to renegotiate the KPIs, that's different, then you wouldn't proceed with this.
Yeah, you shared the KPIs with us. And the first one, to increase the number of visitors to the Wairarapa, the length of time they stay in the region and the amount they spend. Specifically, DW are tasked with delivering growth in domestic and international visitor spend per annum, and in line with tourism industry, Aotearoa Tourism Beyond 2025 framework. In particular, this growth needs to be seen between each winter period. This information will be reported as Wairarapa by the TLA where available. That's, I mean, it could be more specific to include being broken down into different parts. That's fine. But 2 all the way through to 14 are just actions that would help support that. And I don't think that they should be on the actual KPIs as KPIs. Do you understand my point? Like if you look at the
Can I just interrupt him, because it's a very valid point, and probably the KPI, the deliverables haven't been addressed or amended for a long time. I think they've just rolled over each time. Would that be correct? In the interests of confirming what we want today, I'd like to say that that's a separate conversation that we have with our partners and also with DW. To look at ways we can modify the deliverables and expand further on what's in here. Would you be happy if we put that as a separate work brief?
Yep, so that can happen.
Yes, subject. So this would be an extension, and then we would then move into some discussion, but you would have already agreed to extend it. So it would be a partnership discussion.
And then we can have those further discussions about.
Just to add to that though, if there's a proposal for a reduction of funding, I would expect Destination Wairarapa to come back to us and say this is what they can achieve with funding allocated, which therefore would lead to a negotiation, a revisiting of those KPIs.
Yeah.
So 13 of them, and just the first one.
So we will address that.
Yep.
Any other further questions, Matt? Okay. The motion before us is 1 notes that council agreed to extend the MOU. Notes that the destination MOU expires on the 30th of September. Notes that Masterton, Carterton and South Wairarapa District Councils are currently considering the future of economic development for Wairarapa. Agrees to extend the Destination Wairarapa MOU through to the 30th of June. And then we've got 0.5, agrees to provide funding of 150k for the 9-month period. Councillor Lennox.
I'm looking to propose an amendment to recommendation number 5.
0.5?
0.5.
All right. Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll move the first four. Do I have a mover for the first four recommendations? Councillor Goodwin.
Sorry, can we just clarify what Tim raised? At what point do we then have that conversation? Because it wasn't
When the
super clear,
contract's extended.
but we're deciding to extend now, and then that would happen. So we
Following that.
like today. In
Not
that
today.
conversation. No.
We'll have to go away and do more work and talk to.
It'll be a conversation and discussion with Destination Wairarapa.
Okay.
It would have to be if it was extended, if we supported it today.
Yeah.
Because we need to support the extension first before we can discuss what the next 9 months might bring. Yeah. Any other questions?
So I think before you move 1 to 4, it would be good to hear what Councillor Lennox is proposing. I think.
Okay, Councillor Lennox, what's your proposing amendment to point 5?
I am indeed, and that would be to agrees to provide funding of $238,095 for the 9-month period, 1 October 26 to 30 June 27, to Destination Wairarapa being the existing level of current funding plus a CPI adjustment pro rata for the 9-month period. And if I could talk to that, I would like to. So I cannot support reducing funding to DW at this time, and I believe the most responsible course of action is to extend the current MOU and existing funding through to next year so it aligns properly with the long-term plan process. For me, this is fundamentally about timing, strategy, and making sure we are not making decisions in isolation from a bigger picture. Even in the best of times, Wairarapa is not a region that can take prosperity for granted, and these are far from the best of times. We are a small region competing in a crowded national and international market for visitors, investment and attention. That matters even more than now, and as councils across the country face growing financial pressure and increasing demands. In that context, I do struggle to understand why we would weaken one of the few organisations that already operate successfully at a regional level. Destination Wairarapa isn't just about supporting tourism for the South Wairarapa. That thinking needs to change around this table, and it must change today. Destination Wairarapa plays a broader role in regional identity, economic development, promotion, event attraction, and business confidence, which flows directly through all the Wairarapa districts. And importantly, visitors that come here do not see boundaries. They see Wairarapa as one. People might come to the Wairarapa for our vineyards, dark sky experiences, cycle trails, coastal attractions like Castle Point and Riversdale in our own backyard, but they spend money in Masterton. And our cafes, restaurants, accommodation, retail stores, service stations, supermarkets, events, and local attractions. As a commercial hub of the Wairarapa, Masterton benefits directly from a strong regional visitor economy. Tourism contributed around $399 million to the Wairarapa, which we've heard lots of for the last 2 days as councillors, in the year to March 26, and supports approximately 2,000 local jobs. And that visitor spending flows right across the region into many Masterton businesses that Masterton people and families rely on. As highlighted in recent regional commentary, when visitors come here, they help sustain a wider business ecosystems that many Masterton people rely on. And I think we need to be very mindful of the impact any reduction in promotion could have on Masterton businesses that are already operating in a challenging economic condition. As noted, every region in New Zealand is competing for visitors, events and profile. And if the Wairarapa reduces its visibility while others continue to invest, there will inevitably be consequences. Even those consequences are not immediately visible on the council balance sheet. That is the risk we are actually talking about here, not just a line item, but long-term regional visibility, competitiveness and confidence. I also think we need to be honest about something else. I do not believe we have fully recently asked our community whether this is what they want. I've not seen strong demand calling for reductions in this Wairarapa, Destination Wairarapa funding. What I have heard in abundance over the past 2 days from across the region are concerns about maintaining momentum, supporting local businesses and protecting the visitor economy we've worked really hard to build upon. So I think we need to ask ourselves today, are we making this decision because the community has asked us? Are we making it because we are responding to internal budget pressures? Or is it because we feel our contribution is disproportionate compared to other councils? Because, as has been pointed out, the savings from reducing tourism promotion may appear modest within the context of overall council budgets. the downstream impact on businesses, employment and confidence could be considerably larger. And that's from Julia Broughton for Hatu Farm, Riversdale Agri-Tourism Operator here in the Marston District. That concern is not theoretical. It has already been voiced by those directly invested in our regional economy. A former Marston Mayor has also cautioned that this is precisely the wrong time to step back, given the broader uncertainty around amalgamation and economic development structures. But none of this means Destination Wairarapa should be beyond scrutiny. If there are questions around accountability, KPIs, structural performance, those should be absolutely worked through. However, I also believe we need to be honest about funding equity across the region. I hope our two fellow neighbouring councils are listening. If we are to have a strong, sustainable regional tourism economic development model, then it cannot fall disproportionately on Marston Council alone. Carlton and South Wairarapa also need to recognise the value they receive from Destination Wairarapa's work and step up accordingly to ensure funding is fair, sustainable and reflective of the whole region's benefit. But reducing funding from Marston today is not the answer. What I'm proposing instead is the amendment to the recommendation I just spoke about. That will give us time to properly consider the future of regional economic development, engage meaningfully with our community and business sector, and make decisions in the context of wider local government reform and regional collaboration discussions. It feels far more appropriate than making short-term funding change that risks undermining long-term regional momentum. The challenge for us now is making sure we do not lose that just as the region begins to reap rewards. For me, this is about stability, partnership and strategic thinking, not stepping back from something that is clearly working for Marston and the Wairarapa region beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lennox. At the beginning of the discussion, you said that there might be a perceived conflict with you working for Transit and also on the Tupuana board. Can you confirm that you don't believe it's an actual conflict?
No, I don't believe. I know that those two, Transit is a member of Business Wairarapa and Destination Wairarapa, and likewise I'm a member on the board, but as far as what we're discussing today, I don't have any grave influence around what can be this year.
Thank you. Thank you. What we'll do is we'll go through points 1 to 4 first, as we have a mover and a seconder, and then we'll come back to Stella's amendment. Have we got a mover for points 1 to 4? Didn't we have, with Councillor Goodwin and seconded by Councillor Holmes?
Okay.
Yeah, we did. So we'll just go through those 4 points first, then we'll come back to you, Stella, and you can detail your amendment again.
Yep.
And we'll need a mover and a seconder and then we'll discussion. On points 1 to 4, is there any discussion?
General discussion, but it's probably a lot of it's
So we'll come to that. Yep, great. Okay, all those in favour of points 1 to 4, please say aye. Aye. Against? The motion is carried. Thank you. And we'll move to point 5. Would you like to read out your proposed amendment for point 5, Councillor Lennox?
Sure thing. Agrees to provide funding of $238,095 for the 9-month period 1 October 2026 to 30 June 2027 to Destination Wairarapa, being the existing level of funding plus a CPI adjustment pro rata for the 9-month period.
What's the figure?
$238,095.
Why that figure? Just
Because that's what the
pro
current,
rata.
yeah. And it's a 9-month period, not the full 12 months.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Holmes. We're open for discussion. I'd like to start. I just want to remind everybody how we arrived at this paper being presented to council, which wasn't a recommendation from staff. It was after discussion around the council table that we felt that the funding was disproportionate. It was not a question of the excellent work that Destination Wairarapa does or what they deliver. It was that councillors felt that the Marston was contributing too much, too high a percentage, which is roughly 70% of the council funding for Destination Wairarapa, and we would we were keen for the other councils to lift their investment. So that was the backdrop of this discussion. And I think it's important that we just remind everybody that's how this conversation started. So it's not about the people or the place. It's about equity and funding for delivering region-wide outcomes. So now we're open for discussion. Councillor Nelson and Councillor Goodwin.
Thanks. Just, I do agree with you 100%. I know it's going to be fast, but I think this is totally disproportionate. And I feel the benefits, in my view, and what I see, and what I read, and what I've looked up, they are support South Wairarapa in particular. I looked at their website in great detail over the last couple of days. It disproportionately focuses on those regions as opposed to ours, and that's a key viewing point that most people have to Destination Wairarapa. I think a better starting point would be for all of our tourism ventures and focuses on the table. Aratoi, put that out there, which isn't funded regionally, and have a big discussion about everything and come to a joint agreement or a joint partnership in how we look at tourism holistically. This is one isolated thing. I think we need to look at it as a bigger picture. That would be my position moving forward.
Thank you, Tim. The discussion. Councillor Goodwin.
I just want to signal that I will move after this motion that we provide funding of 150,000 for the 9-month period.
Yes, we'll need to move the first Stella's motion first, and if that fails, we'll come to you. Any further, Warika?
I just want to add that we have had a number of emails coming into our inboxes, and so there's been some conversations occurring outside of the council, which have led people to believe that we're considering removing funding completely. I think the crux of the issue today is that we are wanting the best, value for money for our ratepayers, and when we are disproportionately contributing to the kaupapa, as opposed to the other, Carterton District Council and South Wairarapa District Council, which I too hope that they are listening. That is inequitable, and we need to address that. Also, the fact that we're deciding on our extension before Carterton District Council and South Wairarapa District Council kind of doesn't encourage them to come to the party and increase their contributions to the space. So I'm worried that, maybe we're doing this ahead of them, will, disproportionately, influence their decision as well. So just wanted to share.
Councillor Bowyer?
Just want to confirm, so at the end of this MOU, all of this will be up for renegotiation. So our share, the KPIs, all that will be up for negotiation.
Well, there's no commitment beyond the extended term, and after that, at this stage, I think you're aware we're looking at different economic development delivery models.
And also just on that too, the work we're currently doing in that space, we have a time frame of that reporting coming back in September. So we're trying to work well ahead of the June next year expiry of any extension, so that we have an agreement through the industry and also with the other councils of what economic development could look like moving forward. And it's a conversation that's actually probably been going on for about 3 terms. So we're finally moving forward in this space. Councillor Holmes?
Yes. Can I talk a second?
Yep.
Yep. I just fully agree with everything Stella said. And I've had my doubts too, but sort of going around the region, they actually are doing a pretty good job. Can't take that away from them. And the tourism went through a bad phase with COVID and everything, but it's coming back in big numbers now. And I'm happy to second this because I know that the council, 3 councils are working on a regional economic plan. And I know that it's going to work. And I think as this goes on a few years longer, with amalgamation coming, I think it's appropriate that we stick with what we've got now, knowing what's going to happen later on with the regional economic development. So I'm more than happy to second this motion.
Just a,
Councillor Bowyer?
just
Thank you, Dave.
circling back. So with Aratoy, we fund it correctly. So this will be able to be, if we get to the negotiation, that can become part of the negotiation as well with the other councils.
It can be part of the
The EMA,
economic development
Yeah,
work stream.
yeah. There's
Everything's on the table.
Well, presumably you could add in, the airport and a few other things. If you want to, in 9 months, have that discussion about everything.
I think too, we need to be, open in the fact that with amalgamation, that we will be having these regional discussions anyway. In a very short time space, it won't be mastered in making a decision on X, Y, Z. It'll be Wairarapa making a decision. And so the boundaries will no longer exist, which will be helpful.
But as came out in that Zoom yesterday, it is going to be, all these conversations are going on, but life goes on and we have to do a 10-year LTP regardless of that. So, I mean, yep, it's a bit lumpy, but we can't leave everything as it is because of some uncertainty.
But you also can't force other councils to invest in something if they choose not to. We've raised the conversation a number of times and it's a bone of contention.
Yes.
As Tim said, Aratoy is a regional museum, which receives children from the valley, artists from the valley, treasures from the valley, and yet Masterton Council is the only one that funds it. Same as with Hood, as Tim's pointed out. There's pardon?
And the archive.
And the Wairarapa archives. So, it's a bone of contention. We acknowledge that. Councillor Holmes?
I just wanted to say that if we're going to knock everything on the head with funding, the Wairarapa's on the verge of going berserk. I'm saying this honestly. The place is moving. We're getting more people through here. You only got to look at the news every day or listen to the news. Wairarapa's mentioned at some stage. And I'm so determined that we must have a vision about where we're going, because this place is going to be big in 20 years' time, 30 years' time. And it's moving. And I just think that we need to support this. And I love the idea of the regional group for economic development.
Councillor Caffel, then I'll come to you, Tim.
Yeah, from my point of view, this has been quite a difficult decision to come to, because there's two sides to the story. I mean, one side of the story is from our council looking at it, saying, are we getting best value for money? So that's very important. Secondly, though, we're also at a time where times are changing so rapidly. We've got, with the amalgamation, with the economic development plan, things are changing so rapidly that I'm not so sure that it's a great time to be making any changes to anything. And so I'm actually going to support Stella's recommendation on the basis that I believe that this is not a great time to make changes and that we should stay with the status quo.
Okay, Tim, and just reminding you that we need to keep to discussion about Stella's proposed amendment.
Clearly, I struggle with inconsistencies, and not that long ago, probably in the last term actually, we got given the opportunity to contribute towards the Wairarapa Trail Network, and we didn't support that, and that's a tangible thing. This is a strategic thing, and I feel like we missed that opportunity, yet we're supporting this, and that's the sort of pathway we should be going down, I feel.
Just on the Five Town Trail thing, we haven't missed the opportunity because we've had conversations as they progress closer to Master, and we'll be into the conversation. So
yeah, we voted against adding funding to that last term, so that's still extended on for this term.
Are there any more discussion? And then Stella has the right of reply.
Just want to again emphasize that, this is your, korero at the beginning about, this just being disproportionately impacting our residents, and that it's not really anything to do with Destination Wairarapa necessarily. We want South Wairarapa and Carlton District Council to take more responsibility for the shared funding of these resources and services, and the knowledge that we have about them pulling out of their funding for Aratoi, that is impacting this as well, because we all need to be able to contribute and be contributing proportionately to these kaupapa.
Yeah. No more discussion. I'll come back to you, Stella. You have the right to reply or not. It's up to you.
Happy with the discussions had. Thank you.
Okay, so Stella's put an amendment through. We have a mover and a seconder. It's seconded by Councillor Holmes. We'll put that to the vote. All those in favour, please say, raise your hands, please. Against? Oh, we've got a stalemate.
Must be vote.
Just a question. So you voted just then when it was 4-3? I'm confused by that.
Well, I'm as a councillor, I'm allowed to vote.
Oh yeah, I thought you just voted if it was a even.
It is even.
Yeah.
But now the mayor has the ability to
Gotcha.
make the final decision.
Okay, fine.
What check the standing order?
We might just check the standing.
Yes, I would have thought that if it's for each, the motion can't proceed. It's that simple.
Just checking the ability to, there are restrictions around the use of stand and casting votes. Did you want to?
Yes.
I can all check.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I'm not a fence sitter.
Do you have the ability?
So, this one.
Goes back to the original.
We're just going to adjourn for 5 minutes, please.
Adjourn for 5 minutes.
Because we've done points 1 to 4, they've already been passed. Point 5, because we're even, it actually means that we remain with the status quo, which the status quo is the current funding. However, Councillor Goodwin has the right to present an alternative motion to see if that is supported or not. So Brent, over to you.
Yes, I'm moving that we agree to provide funding of 150,000 for the 9-month period. Discussion.
Mover in a second.
We have a seconder for that. Councillor Collins.
So then are we clear what would happen if that's lost?
I think you need to.
Are you all?
No, we're not.
Okay, so if this one's put to the table and this is lost, we remain again with the status quo, which is the current funding.
So by lost, you mean if it's a tie again?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have a casting vote.
I don't think you do.
We still want to do it.
So does everyone understand?
I don't understand. So as it sits, it's $150,000.
No. That's the recommendation which has failed. That Stella put a proposal as an amendment, which is
238 or whatever.
which is not failed.
Yeah.
And so
Well, it didn't pass.
Yeah, this
didn't
one.
pass.
This
It
one
did not pass.
Yes. So that means currently for point 5, we're with the status quo, which is the current funding,
Which
because
is,
a change hasn't been approved.
Which is what Stella proposed.
so with
which is the current.
Right. So if this, Brent's one doesn't pass, then the full funding, we don't get the reduced funding.
Which is Stella's motion.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
Yeah.
So either way, there's funding going towards, okay, so if I was to vote against this and it didn't pass, then the funding would be increased,
Well, it stays the same as it is now.
yeah, which is more than 150.
So it means basically
Yeah.
we're where we are today with 0.5.
But somebody then could put another motion or potentially a different amount or a different.
So at the moment, we've got first motion didn't pass. Let's put a motion which is he's nominated and Wairika has seconded it.
Yes, and just for clarity, that if this motion to provide funding of 150 fails, Stella's motion succeeds and the funding is at 238.
Well, the
just stays
the
the same.
objective succeeds, not Stella's motion.
Unless something else is put then.
So I just need to make sure everyone's clear because it is it is confusing. Is everyone clear what we're voting for now? We're voting for Brent's motion of the reduced funding of 150K for the 9-month extension.
Versus.
Which is also the recommendation.
Correct.
Yes. So it's 150 versus 238.
Correct.
Okay, so we've got a
Just one thing. So
Yeah.
essentially, I don't support the funding at all, but I need to support this to have reduced funding. That's my only option.
or not to support it.
Well, if you don't
So that
support,
essentially support Stella's motion, or sorry, not Stella's motion, the status quo.
Yes.
yeah, if you don't support it, you are supporting 138.
But Tim, then you could put a proposal to not support it, any funding at all.
Read the room, I don't think.
Okay, we're clear? Okay, so we've got a mover and a seconder. We'll put this to the vote. All those that support that, raise your hand. That's failed. So we're at the status quo unless somebody wants to put in a further motion. Does anyone wish to put in a further motion?
So at the moment, we're essentially funding what we were before.
Nothing's changed to what we are currently doing.
Yep, so my motion would be to withdraw funding.
We've got a motion on the table. Do we have a seconder for that?
Read the room correctly.
We have no support for that, councillor. So I'd just like to clarify. Points 1 to 4 have been passed, which is the extension of the MOU. Pretty much that's it, to be perfectly honest. And because we have had, do you have a question? They've all passed.
Oh, it's all passed.
Yep, I'm just reiterating so that we're all clear that where we sit. And we've had 2 motions that have failed. So we revert back to the status quo, which is the current funding arrangement for Destination Wairarapa will continue until for the 9-month extension. At $238,095, which is the existing level of funding.
You can't amend that, but that's just a
Yeah.
point.
Everyone's clear?
Yep. And just in regards to those KPIs, we look at those later on.
Including.
Yeah.
Aratua.
So we'll finish there, because we'll stick to the agenda, but yes, you're correct. Thank you very much for that discussion. And now we move on to page 118, please, which is 2026-27 dog fees.
Report just seeks approval for fees and charges for dog registration and the associated fees for the 26-27 financial year. We're got recommendation of receives a report, agrees to the late fee of 50%, adopts dog registration of either option 1 or option 2, and agrees that the associated fees are approved as well. This report reflects the 12% cost increase for delivering animal services
which is driven by demand, safety expectations and compliance requirements. Masterton still continues to experience high levels of service demand compared to some of our neighbouring councils, particularly complaints and enforcement and impounding. This I suppose shows the importance of our funding model. The funding comes from a 70-30 split. So dog owners are paying 70% of the service while ratepayers are paying 30% of the service. The income is also so dog registration, fines, sales, and then rates. We're aware that there are some non-compliant dog owners out there, and this puts the burden on the good dog owners as well. We know that people are sort of choosing to see registration as optional, but the team are definitely following up with those non-registered dog owners. Option 2 would see a 10% increase for most dog owners, with a 16% increase for entire dog owners that are urban. We know that entire dog owners are overrepresented in our incident. And it also reflects that they haven't paid the cost to have their animal desexed. Option 2 is a 12% increase. So for most people, for their first dog, if it is neutered, then it would be $1.20 per month as an increase. We do have mechanisms to recognise responsible dog owners as well. So we have a discount of 25%, and that is reflected across the board. So this is for anybody that can meet the criteria. They are eligible for a 25% discount. Our rural dog owners are already seeing lower registration rates as well. So they have a reduced fee regardless of if their dog is entire or not, and their second dog is less than $40 to register. We have provided payment plans as well. As the other thing to point out as well is that we encourage people to pay off their registration before it is due, to avoid a 50% penalty.
Thank you, Terry. Do we have any questions? Councillor Goodwin.
So you did say option 2 is a 12%, increase. It is a 10%, I believe. But
so option 1 is 12%, option 2 is 10%. Yes, and 16% for entire dog.
Entire dog. Yeah, that's. My question is why the only part of this I have trouble with is why have you gone to 50% for late payment, which it seems a little excessive, even when you compare it with rates, which are 10% before a week use of money.
So this is consistent as what it has been for a number of years. That's set in legislation, the maximum 50%, and that has been the penalty rate for a number of years.
So I'm just curious, how much do we know how much income it brings in? It does appear a bit excessive.
We also work on, so we do follow our enforcement guidelines. There comes at a cost to chase those people, to encourage them to pay. So that requires more accounting with us as well. We do know the cost of the income for penalty. I would have to get back to you on it. I would need to look it up.
I've just got a question. Have you finished, Brent? Okay, my question, I've got 3 questions, Terry. One is the entire cost is quite high. And I'm aware that some people don't get their dogs desexed because they might be a pedigree or a health reason for the dog, etc. Are there any exemption clause, or is it forgiving at all, or is it just like if it's an entire dog, that's the price?
So if somebody wants to apply to be a responsible dog.
Yep.
And they have a vet certificate to show that their dog is unsuitable to be desexed because of health reasons, then we are willing to the RDO rate, the responsible dog owner rate.
That's good to know.
Yeah. If they can provide veterinary proof that it is unsuitable.
Understand. Yep, that's cool. Thank you for that. I didn't know that. My second question is, we seem to have a disproportionate amount of call-outs compared to South Wairarapa and Carterton, acknowledging that we've got 6,000 odd dogs, they've got 3 and they've got 2, etc. But our call-out rate is extremely high. So do you know why? And my question is sort of based around, are we too responsive? Do we have a 24-hour service and South Wairarapa and Carterton don't? I'm trying to see why, or do we just have really badly behaved dogs and bad owners? Do you know what I mean? It just seems disproportionate. And my other question is, I've got one more question after that. Like, why is there such a pattern?
So we're very good at reporting our call-outs. I can't speak to Carterton and South Wairarapa as to how they record their call-outs or their what we call service requests. Those are reported in we put it in risk report every month as well. We do provide a 24-hour service, and we have a call centre that records all of those calls and are dispatched, which is a different level of service as to how Carterton receives their after hours call outs. And I know that South Wairarapa doesn't have an after hours either. We have more dogs, and our community are very good at reporting requests for service as well.
So my other question then on that, is it possible to break down at a later date how many call outs we get in the after hours period?
Yes, we can do that.
I'd be really interested in that information. And my final question, sorry to hog this, is it appears to me that some councils around the country have a multiple dog charge for working dogs for farms, whereas ours is a per dog charge, whether you've got 1 or whether you've got 10. Is that something that we've considered, that once you get to a certain level, there's a one-off fee that covers all the dogs that you have?
So we haven't considered a one-off fee for all the dogs that you have. I would need to check the figures in comparison this year compared to previous years, but generally, if you've had 2 or more dogs in the rural area, it is cheaper to have them registered in Masterton than it is in Carterton.
Yeah, I'd be
going up to. I think it was 6 or 8. I would need.
I just speak.
There's one year and the subsequent ones.
Yeah, but it's still expensive, and because I've personally, but I don't have all the information, feel that we're penalising farmers for having to have a number of working dogs, and I just would appreciate a little bit more of an insight into that, and maybe some comparisons of similar. Yeah, I'll just leave that with you. So that was me. Councillor Nelson?
Just a follow-up regarding the one that we have about pedigree dogs.
Yes.
Someone does that, then the cost of going to the vet is going to eventually wipe the savings they'll get anyway. So could someone come to you with quality research to say that this dog shouldn't be desexed? Or if they do it once and they have that vet paper from last year, can they carry it on year after year after year? Otherwise, there's no benefit.
It would be a one-off, and it would be from the vet saying this dog is unsuitable to be desexed because of health reasons.
Yeah.
So it would be definitely one-off.
Yeah, so they
But
could
you
use
have
it,
to take your dog annually to get it vaccinated anyway, so that could be gathered at that time.
at the same time, and that could go on forever.
Yes,
Same dog.
yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Lennox and Councillor Bowyer.
Thank you. Thanks, Terry. I'm just a little bit confused because if I wanted to be a responsible dog owner, I apply for that at $30. And then I pay the fee, which is $100, but I've just paid $30 to apply to be a responsible dog owner, which equates to exactly the same price.
A one-off.
Yeah,
It's
I understand that, but to me that's still
Forever, one-off forever.
yeah, but you're going to then come back and check every year that I'm still a
No.
responsible dog owner.
No,
I get it. It just to me is a bit Mickey Mouse, and in fact, I find a lot of these fees a little bit mind bending in the common sense, practical, I guess, approach. Anyway, thanks. I find yes.
You're paying for the house visit, really, property check, everything. Oh, sorry, we've got Craig first. Craig?
Terry, thanks for your report. This comes back to what Mayor Bex was saying. It would be your belief that our level of service is higher than the other two councils?
Yes.
Marika?
Kia ora, yes. Would a breeder's recommendation on non-neutering also suffice, as well as a veterinary?
No, it needs to be a health risk as to why that dog cannot be neutered. If the dog is a breeding dog, there is the breeding permit as well. So there is a permit for that, and it is.
So we have a purebred female who can't be neutered just because that's the requirements of the breeder, but she hasn't bred and we don't intend on breeding her. So there's no loopholes for people to have that acknowledged?
No.
Because she can have babies. Okay.
It's an income opportunity.
And in regards to the responsible dog owner rate for entire dogs, can they qualify? And is it 30% off the 200?
It would be a 25% discount, yes.
So off that 200, it should be covered of an entire dog. And how do people become aware of the responsible owner process? Because I don't know if people are aware that you can go to the vet and get it health, kind of, and have that decision change. I don't know if there's enough communication in regards to that.
So it is in our faculty, and we have had conversations when people have been in touch with us and inquired as well. We do communication and engagement about the applying for responsible dog owner, and if people choosing to look into that, then they will see requirements.
Yeah, and
policy.
And there's requirements that we say that it's a one-off and
a one-off,
and also because I think what Councillor Lennox was kind of going towards is that there's an annual check that you're still a responsible dog owner, but basically a responsible dog owner means that you pay your fees on time.
So a responsible dog owner, there is criteria within that. It's not an annual check, it's a one-off check, and there is a one-off charge for that.
Yeah. And so then a responsible dog owner is somebody who pays their fees on time.
One of the criteria is that, but there is other criteria as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it does require council officers to go to the property to check.
They inquire into the application, yes.
Okay. And one more question. Under the one tag for life, has there been consideration for just like a 2-year kind of registration rather than just annually having to do this registration every year? Have we thought about that?
No, we haven't. We haven't considered that.
Okay, Councillor Holmes.
Thank you, Kerry. Got 3 questions. The first is well done for recycling the tags. That's number 1. The question is, there's a lot of pig dogs out there. Are they, if they're registered? Like, do they come under if someone...
We picked up 5 unregistered earlier in the week. I'm pleased to
Pig
say
dogs.
that they're back. They were hunting dogs. I'm
Yep.
pleased to say that they're back with their owner now.
Okay, yeah, so were they registered?
No, they were. That's why we picked them up.
Yeah, okay. So how many more out there are there?
I can't tell you the answer.
No, you don't know. do
But
you?
people are welcome to let us know.
Yeah, yeah.
As well. They can do that through the Antino app.
Yeah.
They can phone 24 hours a day and report unregistered dogs. And that then would hopefully flatten some of the registration fees if everybody paid.
Just with the rural farming dogs, most farm owners pay for the dogs, registering the dogs for their shepherds and so forth.
We picked up 3 last week that were unregistered.
Okay, yeah. But it's getting up there, the cost of registration.
Just for clarification too, on Stella's point, with an urban neutered, it's $25 for the RDO, not 30. And also it works out if you do the RDO for 25 on an urban neutered dog, you actually do have a saving. It doesn't equal the same cost. So I just wanted to point that out. Do we have any more, Councillor Goodwin?
I was just going to signal that I was going to move option 2.
Oh, I just have one more question. Right. Is there a reason why there is no implications for Māori title in this paper?
Oh, it's in there. It's just for the formatting.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yes. Oh, yeah, the formatting.
Sorry.
Have we finished with questions? Any more questions?
Just how many rural call-outs do you get roughly?
I would need to research that.
Is it not a lot, though, would it?
The majority are probably urban, but we definitely get urban, rural call-outs, and then those rural call-outs, depending on the location, there is the burden of time that relates to those.
Thank you. Councillor Goodwin, you wanted to move?
I wanted to move option 2. We adopt the proposed dog registration and associated fees at 16% for entire, 10% for others, and with penalty for late payments registration at 50%.
For Brent's motion, I'll second that. Discussion. Brent, would you like to discuss your recommendation?
Oh, what appeals to me is that the entire dogs appear to cause more problems, and so I'm supporting them paying more.
Thank you.
Entire beasts.
Councillor Campbell.
I think in 15 years I've been on council, I think I've probably 15 times rose and spoken against the increase in dog fees. It's been a real thing for me that this council has continually increased dog fees. It's almost as if we've got something against dog owners. I know we haven't, but it comes across like that. And when I read the this possible increase of 12% or 10%, as Brent is suggesting, I must admit I almost felt here. That is a huge increase by any standards. But before I start my rant today, I want to acknowledge Terry, to you and the Animal Services team, what a great job you do. You really do, and I'm not going against you guys at all. I know you go beyond the norm to make sure that our whole dog situation is well looked after. So it's nothing. This is nothing against the Animal Services team at all. I do think, for a start, that when we talk about we've got to consider that we've got 6,000 dogs around in Masterton, and that while the number of complaints, while some of the complaints do make the headlines, they're actually very few when you think of that number of dogs. They are not excessive, in my opinion. I mean, you're always going to get bad actors, and often, really, as we all know with dogs, it's not the dog that's to blame. In a lot of cases, it's actually the dog owner and the way that they've brought up their dogs. And it's confirmed in the report, when you look at the report, which is a very good report on this, that much of the work done by the Animal Services team is generated by owners who are not meeting their obligations as responsible dog owners. And that's very true. And it's unfortunate, but those people tend to make life very difficult for those of us who have dogs, do everything right, the dog behaves itself. And we, I would say, are 95% of the people who have got dogs. I strongly believe that we need to give greater recognition to the to the huge majority of dog owners who do the job well. I think we have to consider too carefully what an increase that we're, the size of what we're considering is going to mean to a lot of people, particularly elderly people, whose dog is their trusted companion, their best friend, and helps their mental health considerably. That's been proved time and time again. I mean, the dog that we have is actually, he's gone around a number of the local rest homes, and it's just amazing to see what a dog can do for people's mental health, just having a dog in the place. And it concerns me that some of these people, or a lot of these people, and we've seen this in the past, if this increase goes forward, they will in fact continue to feed their dog and look after their dog well, but their own lives. And that does concern me as well. It is my belief that a lower registration fee makes it more likely that owners will regularly register and vaccinate and microchip their dogs. They'll actually be responsible dog owners. But when the prices go up, those sorts of things are forgotten about by some people. Look, dogs provide emotional support, they provide companionship. As I say, they've got mental health benefits, huge mental health benefits. They also are really good in terms of getting people out to exercise. And these are all good things for society and for community, which I think come into this debate on fees. And I also believe that very high fees can lead to unlicensed dogs, underground breeding, and avoidance of veterinary care. So it's a whole range of things can happen. So we need a balanced approach where fees are low enough to remain accessible, but high enough to support responsible systems. And to that end, I would love personally to see, I do believe there needs to be an increase. I believe that the report in front of us shows that, but I would like any increase to be in the order of about half of what we're suggesting, of around about 5 or 6%. That's my belief. But as I say, every year I've got up, every year I've been defeated on this one. It seems like around this table, it's very difficult for people to understand the impact of what high dog fees can do. But it's to me, it's very clear.
So, Councillor Caffel, are you signalling that you're going to put a proposed motion to that effect?
I'll support you.
I would like to. I am probably a little bit need to know in terms of whether I can actually do that.
Yeah, of course.
No, that's what I was thinking, because it's a complete change of the.
It's not a direct negative, but you haven't got sufficient information in front of you in order to be able to see what that will look like. So being consistent with the revenue and financing policies 70-30 split, because it would mean that ratepayers would need to pick up that loss of funding that would be otherwise attributed to the dog owners, and so you wouldn't have enough information in front of you, in my view, to be able to make a decision on that.
Okay. So basically, all I can do at the moment is vote against it.
Yes.
It's a motion. Sorry, it's a motion already been.
Thank you, Gary. Stella.
Thank you, Gary. I 100% agree with every word you are saying. I firmly believe that this is enough's enough, and I have heard from many dog lovers, owners, people that aren't dog owners or lovers also comment on the fees that we are charging. And I think enough's enough. And I asked for the information around the increases over the last 5 years, which have been modest, I guess, but this year, for some reason, it's just out the freaking gate. So I will be strongly opposing this. It's a shame we don't have time, Gary, to get further information or do some analysis around some different percentage. I think we pat ourselves on the back when we talk about a lower rate increase of 5-something%, yet this comes to the table and it's the complete opposite, and it's inconsistent. And yeah, I won't be supporting it at all.
Okay. Sorry.
Just in terms, just to reiterate around Karen's discussion, we have a finance and revenue policy that says that 70% of the cost of dog pound and dog control will be met through dog registration fees. Councillors have an opportunity to amend that when we next do our revenue and financing policy. If we don't, so the rate increase has been determined to be consistent with that policy. If you accept that you want a lower rate increase, then you have to reduce your level of service and costs to achieve that 70%, or you breach your revenue and financing policy.
So that can be amended if the council decided to at LGP time.
So revenue and financing policy will be coming up for amendment and will be part of that discussion as we develop our LTP into.
So there could be a different percentage
You
of
could
dog.
use a different percentage should collectively.
Councillor Nelson, Councillor Lennox.
Thanks, AJ. So that's in the report, isn't it? So it doesn't give us any scope because we have to follow that policy, and the numbers are all in here, the amount that we have to pay, so it can't be changed. And I just hope I love hearing your compassion for the people who are struggling in our community, and we have an opportunity when we have the annual plan debate to look at benefits for all people in our community, not just dog owners, about reducing costs. And we could look at things like what's recommended around rates capping. 4% increase, not a 5.2% increase. So let's be holistic in the way we look at things.
And we will be coming to discussion time soon. Are there any more, Councillor Lennox?
Yes, I do have a question, just because I'm confused. So in 24-25, we didn't raise the fees at all, yet you're saying we have to raise them. I'm confused that 1 year we got away with not raising them at all. There was no increase from years 23-24 to 24-25. So why can't this year we have a no raise from 25-26 to 26-27?
I obviously wasn't here in 24-25 to be able to answer that decision at this time.
But the process, you're saying we have to raise them 70 because of the policy, yet 1 year when that policy was in place, we didn't raise them. So I'm confused.
Well, unless
We don't know what the policy was that was in place at that time, and was that COVID?
24-25 was when I was here.
25 wasn't.
Well,
Unless there was some decision about reduction in cost of services that you made a conscious, and look, I can't speak, I wasn't here at that time.
And also
about it.
got a new dog. Sorry.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying, guys, is that you're saying we do have to increase them based on policy, but not so many years ago we didn't, and I just need to understand why, because I don't remember reviewing the dog. Oh, maybe we did. Yeah, we did review it, but well, okay. So my question is, I'm interested to understand from other elections if they feel like they've got enough information to put this, and pass this, because there's muddy waters here.
Tim, did you have your hand up?
No, I didn't.
Councillor Goodwin?
Sorry,
Oh, yeah,
just quickly, look, to Councillor Lennox, there are additional operational costs. I'm not too sure. I wasn't here in 24-25 to answer whether the operational costs stayed the same. But there are additional operational costs to be able to provide that facility, to provide that level of service that everybody's commended. So yes, there are costs associated with the town that have to be met to help achieve that service and provide that ability to minimise the impact of poor dog control.
Councillor Goodwin?
Just a clarification from Mr. Jack. So the cost of this is 1.05 million.
Beg your pardon?
The cost of the animal services, which is dominated by dogs, is 1.05 million. And there's 6,000 odd dogs. I don't know, that averages out. Average at $120 a dog. And us people who don't have dogs pick up the other 300,000. Is that correct?
Ballpark, that's the way the revenue and finance and policy works, so that there's a shortfall.
So an average, I mean, all I'd say is an average of $120 a dog for this policy. There's a few variations in there. According to SPCA, the average size dog costs with feed and vets about $1,500 a year. So it's less than 10% of the cost of owning a dog
So,
It's said from a long dog owner.
Wairika,
on average.
Just wondering, with the accounting, and around how we get to this point, is there any time when we have profited from dog ownership and registrations? Or is it bang on?
It's always a cost centre. It always has to be subsidised. There's no profit in it. We're not
Oh,
allowed to make
okay.
a profit.
But
So, yeah.
council,
with the 70/30 inclusion, like, is there any time in the back?
it's a cost to service.
Was it
Ellen.
more minus the plus?
Well, it's a cost of service, councillor Collins, that as people said, the current revenue and financing policy says that council will recover those costs of service with that 70% recovered through dog registration fees and 30% through general rates. At the next review of the revenue and financing policy, elected members may choose to change that split, but the total cost will not be making a profit. It will be just recovering the cost of operating those services.
So you may recover less from the ratepayer if you've achieved the.
More revenue.
More fees paid.
Do we have any more questions? So we have a mover. Brent has moved option 2. Do we have a seconder?
You second.
Oh, which was me.
We're actually in discussion at the moment.
Yeah. So, no, but we've finished discussion. So we have a mover and a seconder for option 2. We'll put that to the vote. Please raise your hand. All those in favour of option 2, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Against? Here we go again.
Can we have it no motions against, please?
The motion has failed. Do we have?
Is that
How
for,
did it fail?
Then we go
Oh,
have another
for
amendment.
continuity? Do you, for financial continuity, do you have a casting vote?
Yeah, we're just about to determine that. Thanks, councillor.
Are we going
There are different situations. You have a casting vote and you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other one, we didn't have a casting vote because there was an agreement in place.
Oh.
And it could affect continuity of the agreement. This is a new decision.
So you can.
Karen's just going to check that out. I think we're going to keep going.
Gary.
Yeah, I'm going to apply for the responsible owner. I didn't know that was the thing.
Do you want to stop? Yes. We're going to adjourn for 5 minutes. Hey, we're having an interesting day today. So what I want is just a little bit of discussion. There appears to be a general acknowledgement of that the rates need to increase. There appears to be, though, concern that the rate increase is too high. So my recommendation would be, because that Brent's motion has failed, that we leave the paper to lie on the table. We come back next week, and in the meantime, the officers will prepare additional information, still based on a fee increase, but at a lower level, which means it'll run contrary to the revenue and finance policy, but that will be included as part of the recommendation.
I like that.
Yep.
So it's, are you happy that we leave it to later today and we come back with further information based on the feeling in the room?
I would appreciate that.
So could it also be around efficiencies and looking at how it could be saved?
No, it'll just be an adjustment of that funding.
Because also too, just to remind you that the rates need to be confirmed by the end of May. So it'll be next week that the information will come back to us with a fee increase recommendation that might be more palatable. Is everyone happy with that?
Yep.
From my own point of view, it would need to be, and I'd say now, it would need to be in that order of 5 or 6%. I wouldn't like to see 8, 9%, something like that.
We can model.
Or somewhere in between.
As Gordon said, they can model some different options. Yeah. So shall we move on?
Over 2 and 4% in practice for rates cap.
Leave my cat alone.
Okay, so now we're moving on to page 133, and it's cats.
Pick it up in the cats.
I'm so glad to see that.
Are we going to do budgies?
So page 133, cat management considerations for the district. And we have Karen, we have Sophie. Are you, Sophie? Welcome, Sophie. And well, the floor's all yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. Nā koutou katoa. This is a great paper I've been working on. This report mainly responds to community feedback that we had at the recent Awanapa Consolidated Bylaw Review. We submitters raised concerns about cat management, including nuisance, animal welfare and biodiversity impacts in the district. So we went away and did some further thinking, and since the adoption, we've undertaken initial analysis of issues. This included engagement with the animal control team, external stakeholders, and considered information and research from the SPCA, National Cat Management Group, Companion Animals New Zealand, and media coverage. There is evidence that there are cat management issues in the Marsden district, particularly around stray and feral populations, seasonal pressures on the SPCA, and impacts on wildlife. However, the full scale and distribution of the problem locally is not well understood. While evidence-based interventions are available in sensing and microchipping, the current lack of clear national direction and regulatory filter limits Council's ability to implement consistent and effective responses. At present, Council has no dedicated resourcing and key information gaps, particularly around local data, community views, affordability impacts, and delivery capacity, meaning we are not yet well placed to make a robust regulatory decision. Experience from other councils shows that regulation alone does not resolve these issues. Successful approaches require sustained funding, strong partnerships, and community support, while poorly resourced regulation can create unintended costs and pressures. Given these factors, the report informs Council that officers will take a staged evidence-led approach, deferring any regulatory changes instead considering cat management as part of the next review in 2029, when we can take a more informed and coordinated, cost-effective.
Thanks, Sophie. I have a question. Do we ever end up with cats or abandoned cats in our animal facility?
I don't think so.
Never. Okay.
No.
Okay. And just the other question is, there's a list of the councils that have got mandatory microchipping. And also, I note in the report you've got, say, some dedicate resources to making sure that the rules are adhered to with regards to cats. Can you have mandatory microchipping but not have to resource it?
So we looked at 3 different councils. So one that really went all hocus pocus and funded everything, and they fund microchipping and they do a lot of management, through to ones that have just put in it as like a policy,
like a rule.
The one thing is that you can't, if you don't enforce to some degree, or you don't monitor it or have resourcing to monitor it, you don't know what the impact of those decisions are. So that's where one council was at. Another council in the middle, they put some resourcing aside, but didn't realise the actual impact that people would start dropping off cats to their council offices. So that's why we're taking a more cautious approach, because there's quite a breadth of options on the table.
Because microchipping your cat at the moment is a choice, isn't it?
It is a choice, and nationally, 96% of cat owners de-sex, and a lot of them, I think over 40%, over 50% microchip. So there is already a good uptake at a national level for cat owners. It's in that stray feral cat space, I think, that's the pipeline. If everybody neutered their cats, then they'd be less likely to have unplanned litters. But I think it's just the council's role is a challenging one.
Thank you. Any other questions? Gary?
I see with the New Zealand Companion Animal Register, it records 4,115 registered cats in Masterton. To me, that seems, I'm surprised it's not got, frankly. And I'm just wondering, the New Zealand Companion Animal Register, can you tell us a little bit, how do they How do they register how many cats there are in Masterton? How do they work that out?
So that's microchipped cats that have registered in.
Oh, so that's just the microchip one.
That's just the microchipped ones.
Oh, okay.
40%.
Any other questions?
Just a correction there on page 135, the analysis and advice. Overpopulation driven by undersexed cats. It's probably take a couple of letters out of that.
Undersexed. No further questions? Well, the recommendation in the officer's report is that council receives a report on cat management in Masterton District and notes further investigation on this issue will be included in the scope of the next review. Do we have a mover? Brent?
Sorry, I was curious, how are we going to estimate the number of cats? Especially feral.
Sophie?
Small mechanisms to measure that through the review. So we've looked at whether it's whether community surveys and of anecdotal seeing what's happening in their areas. We have spoken with DOC and with GW as to what's happening in their spaces as well. Obviously, with Predator 2050 only just making the change around cats, we may see more information coming out about what's happening in our protected areas. And GW, we know what they're doing in the buffer. So the part that's that is in the Masterton District. That's the only area where they're doing cat management. So hopefully by the time we get to 2029, the Predator 2050 is more traction, might be more of an understanding of what those levels are.
Okay.
Thank you. We've finished with questions. We have a mover, which is Councillor Goodwin, seconded by Councillor Lennox. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Aye. Aye. Against? The motion is carried.
Can I have a comment?
Discussion?
Oh,
It's an information paper. I do not get.
That was a very quick discussion.
No chat?
No.
Do you not get to chat? No.
No, we just received it.
Second.
no chat. Page 144, 2. No, we won't stop. This is the corporate and community activity report, and I welcome that to the table.
Thank you, Your Worship, councillors. Lovely to see you all today. Kia ora koutou. This report covers activities across our library and archive customer services, comms and community development teams to
Slow down, mate.
to the period late April. I'll take the report as read, but a couple of things I'd like to point out. Just a date update on the last point under what's on for April, May and 146. Should read that the Pride programme runs May to June. My apologies for that. In general terms, several corporate and community teams stepped up during the recent April weather event. Customer services were there, communications and ComDev all supported the emergency ops centre. Those calls come late and inconveniently and add on BAU and consistently leans in and helps, and I just want to acknowledge that. Something I know that quite a lot of people are interested in, the Queen's Cash Concert is now open on Queen Street. You can go into participating Queen Street businesses and be in to win $1,000 Queen's Cash to re-spend in participating business during the works that are going on there to operate the CBD infrastructure. NComDev, the new Youth Council has met. Thanks, Waireka, on that. And the Disability Advisory Group have had their first meetings. Thanks, Waireka and Councillor Caffel on that. All big milestones in the ongoing kind of space with us. I'd wanted to highlight that 3 funding rounds are currently open. The Creative Communities, the Marae Development Fund and the Upper Fund. I would encourage the community to throw their hat in the ring. If there's anything that would like to apply for a space, that's it from me and I'm happy to take it.
Councillor Lennox, thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Great report. Just in regards to the customer service, that's including Anteno data as well?
Yes.
Thank you. Second question, the barking dog stat.
Yep.
18, that averages out 3 per week since our last meeting. Is that one particular incident or is it multiple different dogs?
I don't have the analysis on what those calls are like, but I can find that out for you and let you know.
Yeah, it's just that it seems to be the greater of the, you know.
Yeah, it's the majority of the calls that we get consistently.
Yep, and that's cool. And I think that was all for you, Matt. But yeah, nice new laid out report. Great to read, easy, simple, and good to see the Intino data is all combined with everything else. Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Bowyer and then Councillor Nelson.
Yes, again, thank you for the report. Really well seen. Now, the Makaurau EcoStream project, is this the one that was started with the COVID funding?
Yes. This is part of the, yes, it's the Better Off funding.
Can you just remind me how long ago?
Can't give you that date.
Okay.
What was the question?
Oh, sorry, the question is,
when the funding.
is this going to progress quicker than what it apparently seems to be?
I believe that we are nearing completion of that particular project. I can get a specific update on what those key milestones moving forward are and send that out to councillors.
It took ages to start, but the money was put aside specifically for that purpose. So, yeah, it did take a long time to get rolling. Councillor Nelson?
Thank you. With the Queen Street, what does the face-to-face engagement look like? Is it continuous and ongoing, or is it one-off, or are we constantly talking to our retailers?
So I know that recently the team has been out talking to the stage 2 retailers to make sure that they're well prepared for that to start in the area. That kicks off in a week or so. Just making sure that they understand where the public questions site is so that they can direct people to that they need to. Making sure that they've signed up to things like parking maps, to the Queen's Cash competition. We do keep an eye on them. It tends to be through the project office as opposed to through the comms team. But yeah, there has been several engagements face to face with store and business owners since the work started.
Thank you.
Warika?
Have you thought about offering those who have been impacted by Queen Street at the opening of the part of the Queen Street, having like a celebratory morning tea and inviting those retailers along to something?
I have not thought about that.
Would be a great idea.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, the recommendation is council receives the update from corporate and community team on key projects and activities. Do I have a mover? Councillor Holmes and a seconder. Councillor Cathall. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. Thank you. We move to page 151. Discussion.
I just want to commend staff members, Councillor Lutene and Deborah Davidson for their support of Youth Council and helping with the Tuia mentoring program and also with organising the disability group. And also it's great to see that in the Tikanga Māori segment here on page 149, that there's going to be training on how to report implications to Māori. I would be interested in being part of that conversation or contributing to that if it's something that would be useful.
Fantastic. Thank you. Anything further? No, we'll move on to, thank you, Warika. We'll move on to page 151, 8.3, which is the infrastructure activity report, and I'll welcome Tyler to the table.
Kia ora koutou, councillors. There's a number of items, of course, the different infrastructure and facility portfolios that are included within the report. Just move into discussion. Most of the report's read. Highlights across the reporting include number of contracts being signed in respect to projects being progressed. We've got good progress across a lot of the deliverables, including the activation space for Town Hall, contracts, the delivery of the Memorial Park Bridge, and the Queen Street refurbishment contract also being let and that contract being started. There's a lot of work that's still in progress in respect to responding to the February emergency event, and that was compounded to some extent by the April event, and the teams are working with contractors to move through the current log of infrastructure upgrades, or sorry, infrastructure repairs as a result of those events. There was good performance that the team observed to Nui in the response, where the raw water supply went out in the April event. Due to the works that were completed in February, they were able to then get water tankers because of that work in February up to the tanks itself, which provided significant resilience, and then no disruption for the Anzac Day events in Tanui. I don't believe there's any other highlights necessarily outside of what I've just described. Everything's in a pretty good state and stasis going through into next quarter.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tyler. Questions from the floor. We'll go Stella, Brent, David. Stella.
Yes. Thanks, Tyler. Awesome report. I do have 4 questions, if it's okay. Page 154 in regards to the water storage. It notes land acquisition for treated water expansion. I believe that would be part of the new water entity. It was my first kind of question. And then I thought we were only exploring non-potable water expansion on land that we already own. So this is implying that we're looking at acquiring more land for potable.
It is, yeah. The studies including raw and potable water storage and availability through to Masterton. The work is continuing because even though the infrastructure assets and operation would look to transition over to the new entity, that work still needs to be undertaken so that there isn't any delay in terms of the investigation. We're quite fortunate in that we're getting that structure for YT sorted out in the next 2-3 months, so we have more contacts within YT to be able to inform them about the progress and what those assets could look like as the investigation.
Cool. Okay, thank you for that. The next one is the library now underway as of May 4th. So that was a couple of days ago. So we're all good and things have started.
Yeah, the team are getting established. Their contractors are very keen to be working in the space.
Yeah.
So there's some enabling work stuff I believe to be undertaken to allow them to more fully be into the space and undertaking the library.
Yeah, cool. And then just 157, page 157 for the Queen Street, it talks about some variations. I know we're talking about fuel stuff, but is there anything else within those variations that we need to be made aware of? Like, it's not variations that are going to incur massive cost blowouts or anything like that?
No, there are efficiencies that are being brought to us by the contractor as part of those contracts. And so that's for us to consider in terms of their offers back to us around efficiency of time and efficiency of cost for those other deliverables.
That's awesome. And my last question to do with the new Park Bridge. So I've been down there a few times and got talking to people, and there's a bit of banter online around this. So obviously not deterring from the wonderful bridge it is and the fact that it now opens it up to be accessible for everybody. But there's a lot of chatter around the look of it and how it's very
industrial,
clunky and industrial. And questions have been asked as to, is there money left in the budget to maybe paint it black like the other surrounding bridges so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, and also adding some form of art or paneling or something like that that reflects who we are or whatever. Yeah.
That's a question I can take back to the team.
I can answer that. Yes, and Oz is working on that and to make it more aesthetically attractive, but also so that it fits the environment, and it includes some possible panels with telling Wairarapa stories.
Awesome. I just happened to cross a bridge in Hamilton yesterday and they had done exactly that. Cool, thank you.
And maybe you might like to refer them to that bridge and
cool.
check that out. Next we were Brent and then David.
And just on the town hall, it said a workshop on operating model 5th of May, which
It's for staff.
Hmm?
It was for staff.
Just for staff.
Well, there was for staff and a number of people in the community who are experienced it, event centres, town halls, getting some feedback from people. So just, yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, just why, when and.
Yeah.
Why?
David?
Tyler, can I ask, with the two replacements, have you got a costing on them?
I'll have to go back to the team to see the overall cost for those two bridge replacements.
I'm well aware of what happened in Hawke's Bay.
Yes, yeah, I'll go back and check the team around those costs.
Warika?
Just from, I've got a couple of outstanding questions from last week where I asked what wastewater issues are recurring and what issues were on Coburn Street in regards to the emergency.
Of course, I'll go back and get some more information in respect to Coburn Street. I believe there was a one I sent talking to the team, stormwater infiltration potentially from those properties as well, contributing to the overall issue. So there might be a shared issue there, not just fully stormwater from other parts of Coburn Street or sort of surrounding area.
Any other questions? Just a reminder too, Councillor Goodwin, we do have a workshop on the 22nd of May booked with the Town Hall to discuss the design and build framework. Yes, did you have another question, Brent?
Yeah.
Question?
Okay, that just in regards to your answer, sounds like the workshop was a bit more than just that in terms of its operating. I'm just wondering.
No, so we've done a feasibility study. Its feasibility study suggests that through some further discussions, there might be some more opportunity for additional revenue to be generated through potential future libraries. So it was more brainstorming some ideas to be able to come back to inform that study so that we can present it to councillors in a couple of weeks' time.
Oh, so
that's
we will get, okay.
Yeah.
To highlight, one that I did send you a query, is now the time to sneak that in about?
I believe it's public excluded. Item, it's a public excluded.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, can you just repeat what you said about extra funding? Revenue streams.
Yeah, so when you design a new building or something, you look at opportunities for how you might get some incremental revenue in the door. What are the different opportunities that it might be that if you put a commercial kitchen in, you would have that outsourced, or the community could book that to preserve jams or whatever they might want to do to be able to commercially sell that, or could be used in the evening as a bakery caterer's space. So different things like that, but they're all just different scenarios based on a design really at the end of the day.
Sorry, I misunderstood you. I thought you were talking about a budget increase.
Who said we won't budget increase?
Yeah, because we had down 56,000 estimated income for the first year.
Anyway, we're not here to discuss that today.
Sure,
for a workshop later in the month. Any other questions of Tyler?
Just one, just with footpaths, Tyler. So the work we're doing over here, is that taken away elsewhere in our town?
No, I don't believe so. So the team's always looking for innovations in which to be able to provide better level of service back to footpaths. That includes also the funding assistance, or lack of at this stage, anyway, from the Transport Agency, to allow the team to be able to deliver more. And part of that also includes some of the condition assessment ratings that the team's exploring to better capture data to then make that financial case back to the NTA to then be able to deliver more across the district.
And can you just, I don't understand the water stuff for page 156 in amber. Can you just explain it to me? At the bottom of page 156. Drinking water standards.
I need to go back and get some more information just about it. I understand with compliance, there is a number of KPIs that we're required to meet in respect to our consenting. Yeah. Whether or not that relates to drinking water standards, absolutely. So there are reporting requirements where if you're deficient in respect to reporting, that you do get downgraded in respect to reporting. Now there was a sensor that failed, which meant that you did need to understand how that impacted your reporting for compliance on the consent. But I will go back to the team again.
I can touch on that very briefly. So the Wainuiaru water scheme, some people are using that as drinking water.
Yeah.
And Taumata Arawai have suggested that there's a protective barrier put in place, such as UV filtering at the source of entering the properties. Not all the properties have that. So therefore, that particular scheme is non-compliant, I suppose. That's why it's that colour. But we're working on that at this stage as to what some solutions could be.
Thank you.
No further questions. The recommendation is that we receive the update from infrastructure. Do I have a mover? Councillor Caffel, and a seconder, Councillor Lennox. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? The motion is carried. Thank you, Tyler. Okay, we'll move on to page 160, 8.4, Strategy, Policy and Governance Activity Report. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. I will just highlight a couple of key points. As always, there's a lot going on. You'll be aware that the government announced the next stage in the reform proposals through a Head Start pathway, inviting councils to get together with their neighbours, together reorganisation proposals before August, and those that do not, there will be provisions available to them which they will not be able to negotiate for following the 2028 elections. And you'll know that we've started work on what that may look like, given that the timeframe is not very long at all. The second point is our development plan. We continue to work on that. Key date in the diary is the 4th of June. We're organising a workshop for developers and other interested professionals to examine our growth provisioning, what they find that the barriers that we need to address, what particular areas they would like us to look at for expanding in the future, and known issues that they know that we necessarily don't necessarily. So opportunity for some really good dialogue there. So please invite your networks to get in touch with us to come along to that 4th of June meeting. We've also been working on policies for encroachments on council land, which is all of those things where you may want to put some tables or chairs on the pathways or other areas of council land, and we don't have a consistent policy at the moment for how we address those and how we end up with effectively licences to occupy. So we've been working closely with the team on trying to get that ahead of. I know that there is some interest along Queen Street, so we want to take the opportunity of the existing works to be able to make sure that we have a consistent policy that we can apply across all of our other urban areas. We have a by-election on at the moment. Please encourage everybody you know to go and vote. The voting finishes on the 22nd of May at midday. If anybody's lost or their dog has eaten their voting papers, you can come to Waiata House to get some special voting papers, and that will be open right up until that time. Please get out and vote. So happy to take. Oh, late night. Ruth's just telling me it's late night Tuesday and Thursday next week for special voting papers. We did that in the last election, and it was well received from the public. Thank you.
David.
Yeah, Karen, with regard to the council land, is the rules, there are rules and regulations, but are you updating the ones on drones? That's quite important now too.
That's a really good point, councillor. I don't know whether we've included drones.
We talked about it.
Yes, previously. I think we have had a drone. I know that we do have applications process for people who want to fly drones. But I don't know whether we're including it in here. But actually, it was an encroachment into our airspace. Yeah. So I'll follow up on that. Thank you.
Any other questions, Councillor Goodwin?
Our future, our story. A couple of months ago, I did ask for what our costs have been and are anticipated to be on that project. Will that be
Okay, I can't recall that, but
Actually, I can, and I do
excuse-
have a draft.
Hmm?
I do have a draft, and I think I'll go back and check. And we've got a session today that we will provide that information.
Any other questions? Tim?
In light of this morning, with the dark skies, where are we, like realistically, with that application?
Dark skies. Matt's not here, but my understanding is we're not far off actually getting that ready. And we did have the information in the report. We had some really good feedback from people who are responsible for looking into that application when we submit it. So I'm quite confident that we're going to be successful in that area. And you know, there's been a lot of interest, as you well know, from businesses in how we can commercialise this particular opportunity. So we're happy to help wherever we can.
Would you like an update on timeframe, Tim?
I'd be keen to hear too.
I think we were looking at June, July this year, but I'll get an update.
All good? No more questions? Well, the recommendation is that council receives the update from Strategy, Policy and Governance teams. Do we have a mover for that? Councillor Bowyer, seconded by Councillor Holmes. Is there any further discussion? No. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? The motion is carried. We'll break at the end of this meeting before we go into public excluded. Now we're on to page 208, 8.5, meeting reports from councillors. Do you have any updates?
I can share my updates. Thank
Councillor
you.
Stella?
So I attended the Aparuamahanga Advisory Group meeting, first time for me, which was great. It was full room. We ran through the infrastructure audit that was presented to us, and we've got the year's plan of works coming up to us in July, and I am on that group with Councillor Holmes and Councillor Bowyer. So yeah, good. Secondly, the combined district plan, another new one for me. So met last week. 8 appeals are being worked through at the moment, and discussions were had on these, and we voted in new chair David McMahon and deputy chair Brian Jepson. And again, that was my friend over there, Councillor Bowyer. I was unfortunately sick to attend the Te Athena community hub meeting this month. That is me. Okay.
Councillor Bowyer?
Just to follow on from that, just the meetings attended with Wairarapa Road Safety Council, combined district plan, as Councillor Lenz. Road Transport Committee in Wellington, which is in Dedemaha. That's something that I need to continually stress the Wairarapa's importance down there. Hearings Committee we've done. We have the mayors, deputies and CEs meetings, which we've had. And again, the Aparuamahanga River Group.
Thanks, Craig. Wareka.
So it was my privilege to go represent Mayor Bex at the Anzac Bridge Memorial. That was quite cool. Met the Tararua Mayor there, which was, yeah, it was really nice to be part of that kaupapa, and of course to recognise and acknowledge our fallen soldiers from Anzac. Other than that, Rangitane has been very active in recent times with the opening of the Kainga development on Reynolds Street in Manawarua o Kukirimene, which was a really awesome event to be part of, and great to see our local iwi taking control of social aspects for their people. So mihi nui ki a Rangitane, and since we have our whakahaere here, I thought mihi to mihirangi on behalf of that iwi. And then also followed up with the opening of the Tino Rangitane exhibition, which is currently showing at Aratoi. I would encourage all the councillors, if you haven't been, to go along and see that. And I am reminded of the vast history that Wairarapa has with regards to our iwi, but also in our other spaces. So it's great to be able to celebrate and see again those faces that have had a lot of contribution to the area that we live in and represent. Of course, we've had the Youth Council up and running, and they are planning an event coming up soon to take feedback from the community. A couple of our students have been around to local businesses to request support, and thank you for your movie tickets, Mr. Goodwin, Councillor Goodwin. But if there's any others who want to support that kaupapa and for prizes, then please feel free to do that. Also, Rose Haida-Harmon, who is our two-year program representative this year, has been to a wānanga, and she has another wānanga coming up. And then, as you can see in the report, that she was there for the Anzac Day to lay the wreath on behalf of our rangatahi as well. Kia ora.
Thank you, Warika. And on that, Rose will come and introduce herself to at a council meeting and yeah, you'll get to meet her.
The youth council too come and do the same.
Thank you. Any, Gary?
Just possibly not, maybe speaking out of turn away, but not going to get into the meeting, but I want to, as the alternate on the Wairarapa local water done well, I want to say that I attended the last Teams meeting, and I just want to say that Craig's chair of that committee and how impressed I was at the progress and the way that that meeting was conducted. There's a lot of really hard work going in there, a lot of really honest talking. It was really, really good to be part of it and to listen to the people, and I think we're being really well served in that water area.
Perfect.
Just a question, Mrs. Mayor, on your wonderful.
We're coming to my report.
Oh, you're coming to, okay, sorry.
Won't be sick. So any further councillor reports? No? All right, thank you. We'll move on to page 209, 8.6, which is my report. You've all received a list of my meetings since the last council meeting, and happy to answer any questions on that, and then I'll just do some highlights. Stella.
Thank you. You've been a busy lady. The CDEM, what is that? What is CDEM?
Civil Defence Emergency Management.
Thank you. Just
What is it?
Civil Defence Emergency Management. I'm the deputy chair.
Yeah.
And it's of all the Wellington region.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so my highlights from the last month. Slightly wrote my script by Rika. First one is the Anzac services. It was wonderful to see the overwhelming support that our Anzac services receive from our community, and particularly from what's encouraging, quite uplifting, is to see the number of schools and children that are participating. So I attended the dawn service here and the RSA Soldiers Commemoration breakfast at Wairarapa Club, and Councillor Holmes and myself were at Tanui, which was a beautiful service again. And the interesting thing is they're commemorating the same thing, but all the services are so different and moving and well supported. And also I was going to thank you, Warika, for attending the Anzac Brig service to represent MBC. Thank you for doing that. And gratifying, we've received a letter from both Tanui and from the Masterton RSA thanking us for Masterton's support and contribution and the ease of working with our Masterton staff to help set up the services. So I've passed that on to Tyler, who I'm sure has shared that with us too. So thank you. Another highlight has been Rangatani, the dawn service for the new Papakāinga development, which is their first affordable housing development in Masterton, and there's more to follow with a development in Dannevirke on the way, and also followed by the opening of Te Rangitanitanga exhibition at Aratoi, which is the history of our iwi Rangatani. It's amazing, and 15 months in the making, and a milestone and a historic day for Rangatani, and it was very moving to have the privilege and the honour of being there in attendance, and it was terrific. So the exhibition runs until the 19th of July, so please, I urge you to take advantage of it. It's a unique opportunity, never to be repeated, and it's very memorable. My next highlight is I met with the Matua Healthcare Group. These are the people that are responsible for the new private surgical hospital that's going Te Oreore. And this, I'll just remind you, because some of you won't have been in on council when they first presented to us, but it's a $53 million build, and construction is about to start, and it's expected to be fully open by May 28. But the facility will provide 3 operating theatres, 14 inpatient beds, 10 consulting rooms, a physiotherapy gym, plus MRI and CT scanning service. And the facility in the first 2 years will deliver 53 full-time jobs, and by completion, 83 full-time jobs. And the other thing is too, which I'm not sure that you're aware of, it's a shareholder model. So there's local investment in that, which means the doctors who are investing in there bring their families. They come here to live. And they have just secured their final lot of local investment. And they've also struck a deal with Pacific Radiology, and this service will actually open in September of this year. So the great thing with that is our community is not having to travel all the time, and can get the services here. And they've also secured an arrangement with Marsden Hospital to use their theatres in the weekend, so they don't have to wait till 2028 to start actually offering their surgical services. So I mean, that's looking amazing. You know, more beds, more operations, and more services, and that will be a real draw card for more people to move here.
100%.
So that was very exciting. The other thing is, regarding major projects, CBD upgrade is progressing well. Library works is starting. It's great because it'll be neat when our community can actually see stuff going on down at the site. And I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the inconvenience the CBD upgrade can cause, you know, for retailers, shoppers, and members of the community. And I want to thank them for their patience while the work is being done. And of course, the topic on everyone's mind is simplifying local government. And the government's recent announce of a fast track to this has kind of turned everything upside down a little bit, but it's an opportunity for us. We will embrace it, and we will work through this as a region to gather the facts and options to present to our community. So let's get cracking. Does anyone have any questions on my list of meetings or on my report? Gary.
Not just a comment, Bex, on there. I meant to say it earlier on the CBD upgrade is the number of really excellent comments I've had on the Japanese elms on our decision to have the Japanese elm as our tree in the CBD. In fact, I haven't heard a criticism. I've had so many good comments about that. So I think that we may have nailed that one.
Look good too.
Let's stop that conversation right there. Thanks, Gary. Brent.
Just an offshoot, I just curious those amazing figures about the new hospital. Could someone pass that on to Brad Olsen? I'm just curious if that will grow the 11% of the economy that is health services. Does that push that up to 12? I'd be interested for him to respond.
Okay.
Yeah.
You do?
We will be we're liaising at the moment with Informatics to update our current projections, so we can get them to consider that too.
I think the retirement, 2 new retirement villages is
absolutely all of their development.
Yeah. Thanks, Brent. Okay, so we'll take my report as received. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Holmes and a seconder. Councillor Capel. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? And now we will move into public excluded. Do I have a mover for that, please?
Oh.
Councillor Holmes, seconded by Councillor Nelson. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you very much. We'll just have a break for 10 minutes.